Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Grathitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshiniam Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayiniam Amba Tvamanusandadhami Bhagavad Gita Bhavatveshinim Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pullaravindayatapatra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharatataila Purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vitraika Parnaye Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gītāmritaduhe namaha Sarvopanishado gavo Duktha Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsasudhir Bhokta Duktham Gītāmritam Mahat Vasudevi Vasutam Devam Kamsa Chanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Hari Om. Hari Om. Happy Saturday morning, everybody. We are seeing Bhagavad Gita chapter 18, and the topic of karma is going on. How it came up, I hope you all remember, is that Arjuna had asked Bhagavan Sri Krishna about the difference between Tyaga and Sannyasa. Bhagavan's response, very simply, was, Tyaga is Karma Yoga. He didn't say it in those exact words, but that's what it boiled down to. And Sannyasa is total renunciation of doership and enjoyership, realizing I am not the doer. But to realize that I am not the doer, I have to become a really good doer first. That's the only way to realize that I am not the doer. And we had an extensive discussion / reflection on this, something for us to keep thinking about, because while from the highest point of view I am not the doer, I feel like the doer. You don't tell me I'm not the one who's not doing. And so from where I am is where I have to act. And so, become a really good doer, and then you will transcend doership altogether. That's how it works. Then Bhagavan now goes into an exposition on karma so that we can understand it fully and transcend it. Remember, we saw in this chapter itself that karma is full of limitations. It's full of sorrow. We get results that we don't want. We are bound by it. And our goal is to go beyond all sorrow and all bondage. So that means we have to go beyond karma as well. It's the same thing. What is this karma? Well, karma is an action that is prompted by a desire. You can't have an action unless there's a desire preceding it, because of which it ensued. But desire is influenced by our understanding, by our vision. How I see the world will determine my desires, and my desires will determine my karmas. And that vision we saw last week can be sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic. In this chapter, Bhagavan refers to that vision as jnana. Usually jnana means knowledge. Knowledge at different levels. But here, in this chapter, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, jnana is not talking about knowledge in the traditional sense, but knowledge as vision. Vision of life. How we see things, how we see people, how we see ourselves. All of this will prompt or determine our action. And different people will see the world in different ways. And also, the same person will see the world or different things in the world differently at different times. So there's a sattvic vision, which is the most noble, the most ideal. There's a rajasic vision, which is the mediocre. And there's a tamasic vision, which is the unideal, the least. It's very hard to translate these words, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. So you just have to catch the sentiment of what it means in the context of jnana, karma, etc. Because there's no English word that aptly captures the sentiment every single time. There's no one word that works across the board, right? So we saw sattvic vision. That would be like the most noble vision a person can have. What is that? That is where the vision where a person sees the same reality existing equally in all different things in this universe. Right now, we see me versus you, me versus animal, me versus plant, me versus rocks and stones and inanimate things. But if I have a sattvic vision, it's not that suddenly this world will be like one homogeneous mass of vision. I'll just see like white, or I'll just see black, or I'll just see one color. It's not like that. What will happen is I will see the natural differences, but I won't focus on them because I focus on that which is common, which is life or existence. So it's a vision of oneness that a person with sattvic vision has. Not that we are, not just that we are made of the same thing, but we are one. We are one existence. Like there aren't two electricities, there's only one electricity, right? There's only one existence. And so that is the highest vision. And so we strive for it by trying to focus more and more on what is common. Where there is oneness, there's natural love, integration, compassion, harmony. So many world problems will be eradicated. Actually, if you think about it, this is the solution for world peace and environmental peace and animal peace and every kind of peace, right? Our desires also won't be so self-centered, thinking about ourselves, our family, our people. They will be selfless. I mean, there will still be desires, but they will be selfless, right? And so the motivation, the motivator behind all of my actions is that because I see this oneness, I strive for integration, I strive for harmony behind all of my actions. This is sattvic karma. It is not easy, and it is something that we have to aspire to. Now Bhagavan is going to tell us rajasic and then tamasic vision. So let us see them, and then we'll see them all together again. Right? So this is now verse number 21 in chapter 18. You can chant along. Prithaktvena tu yajñānam
Prithaktvena tu yajñānam
nānā bhāvān prithakvidhān
Nānā bhāvān prithakvidhān
vetti sarveshu bhūteshu
Vetti sarveshu bhūteshu
tajñānam vidhi rājasam.
Tajñānam vidhi rājasam.
That jnanam, that vision, vidhi rajasam, know it to be rajasic, which yattu jnanam nana bhavan pashyati. That that vision by which a person sees everything in this world as different, distinct, separate, unconnected. That is our vision. I mean, really speaking, everything for us is distinct, separate, unconnected. I am not connected to you. My iPad is not connected to me. It's a separate thing, right? Differences are natural. And in fact, differences are beautiful. Bhagavan made the world variously. In Madhurashtakam, there's that Srishtir Madhura, right? His Srishti is beautiful. And the thing that makes it beautiful, there's sweetness in the variety of this world. Imagine the world with one type of tree, just all over. The same tree with the same green and the same stump, and it will look like my drawings. I only know how to draw one tree and color it in one color. Like, the world will look like a child's coloring. What is it that makes the world so beautiful? It's Bhagavan's variety. So, variety is a very natural part of this world, and difference is a very natural part of this world, right? But the problem comes when we think that the differences are the end-all and the be-all, and we focus on the difference. See, when you have anything in this universe, it has a name and it has a form. Take something like earphones, right? Finding some prop here. It has a name. It's called earphones. Earbuds? No, it's called earphones, I think. And it has a form. It has this like long wire that looks like a snake if you're half asleep or whatever, right? It has name and it has form. But it also has existence. Means it exists also, right? It doesn't not exist. Which one do we focus on? The existence, the fact that it exists, or the fact that it is a blue earphone? We will not even consider the fact that it exists. That's like not even that existence is non-existent in our mind. We only focus on the name and the form. But which is more fundamental? The existence of the thing is more fundamental. So what we do is we focus on the superficial and we forget the fundamental. The superficial is important. I mean, I have to know how to use this. I have to know what it is to use it. But the forgetfulness of the fundamental is the problem that we're talking about. Now, a silly example like earphones, you'll be like, whatever, what's the big deal? But you think about how it applies in life, and then you'll see how valuable it is to not have Rajasic vision. And let's take some examples. First of all, religion is a very big one, where people have Rajasic vision. And the result of that is there's my religion and there's your religion. And when there's mine and yours, well, the next sentiment that comes is one is right and one is wrong. Right? Because there's no equality. There's no sameness that you're seeing. You're seeing there's mine and there's yours and they're different. And by virtue of being different, one is right and one is wrong. Well, obviously mine's not wrong. Obviously yours is wrong, right? And then the next step is, well, you're not even fit to be alive because of how wrong yours is. That's how it goes. That's the conversation that unfolds, right? Within some religions also, they don't accept that another path is valid and all kinds of things, right? But is it not true that there's a way to see how they are different, but they all have a place? That is the difference between Rajasic and Sattvic vision, right? Or politically, those in Canada know very well how Quebec wants to become a separate country because it sees itself as different. Where you see difference, you try to, when you focus on the difference, well, we speak French, we don't speak English, we're different. Right? When you focus on difference, it creates more separation. When you come to visit us in Guyana, those who've not come yet, you'll see signs everywhere. Essequibo belongs to Guyana. Essequibo is a part of Guyana, right? It's one of the most beautiful parts of Guyana, and you get there by boat from where we are. But Venezuela thinks it belongs to them, right? Why? Because I don't know about now, but but they see difference. They don't see it as part of Guyana, right? So, like that, anytime we focus on or we see difference, it leads to this kind of desire to separate more. Then in family, I mean, especially with kids, you'll see my thing versus your thing, my desire versus your desire. Kids will be like, my life versus your life. It's not your life. You know, when they become teenagers, they say crazy things like that also, right? In Ramcharitmanas, I can't remember if we talked about this last week, but Kaikeyi Ma never saw a difference. All of Bhagavan Ram's life, she loved him more than Kausalya Ma loved him. She loved him the most. But then Manthara came, and she twisted Kaikeyi's mind. And she explained to her, well, she convinced her that Bharata is not your son. Bharata is your son, not Rama, right? Rama is not your son. Bharata is your son. You know, that family would have been destroyed if that vision had persisted. Because now Bharata and Rama would have fought, or they would have had enmity, right? But both Bhagavan Ram and Bharatji had sattvic vision. They both saw oneness, and that is what brought integration back to Ayodhya. You know, the implication of that is that it is okay if different members of our family have different vision. It is not about them. It is about me. Bhagavan Ram didn't say, well, Kaikeyi had tamasic vision, this rajasic vision, and she saw a difference, and because of that, Ayodhya is destroyed. Right? We can't blame anybody because we have our own vision too. And if someone has a sattvic vision, then that is integrating, right? So don't blame anybody, it's about us, right? Their vision was enough to overpower Kaikeyi's rajasic vision. The point in all this is that practically we are separate, but there's so much focus on the differences that psychologically we feel so different from each other, so far away from each other, and that leads to further separation. So we have to ask ourselves, who is the manthara in our life? Who is the manthara that comes and highlights difference instead of commonality? We all have a manthara. I'm not talking about an external person. In our life, in our personality itself, there's a part of us that is focusing on me versus other people, me versus you. I am so good and you're not. Does that sound familiar? That is our ego. The ego in us is constantly highlighting our differences. And the interesting thing is that society is bent on making us strengthen this ego. What does society teach us? Oh, you're independent, you have to be unique, and you're different from everybody. And society makes us focus so much on difference. And yes, it is a nice thing to see that I have these special qualities and I'm different in this way. But the way it is done is that it comes at the cost of sattvic jnana. And the implication is it comes at the cost of moksha. It comes at the cost of happiness. And so we have to decide if we're ready to pay that cost. We have to pay a cost. Which one are we ready to pay? That's the question. So that is rajasic jnana. We don't need to say too much about it also, because with a couple of examples, we intrinsically get a feeling of what it is, because we are so, it's one of our primary visions. We see difference and we focus on difference, me versus you, like that. Right? But now if rajasic vision is about focusing on difference, what would tamasic vision be? This is rajasic, then, and there's one that's even lower. Well, what's that going to be? Let's see now. Let's chant, and then we'll see how there's something even lower than seeing differences, and we're culprit to that, sometimes even more than to rajasic, I think. Right? Let's see it, and then we'll analyze. Yattu kritsnavade kasmin.
Yattu kritsnavade kasmin.
Karye सक्तमहैतुकम्
कार्ये सक्तमहैतुकम्
अतत्त्वार्थवदल्पं च
अतत्त्वार्थवदल्पं च
तत्तामसमुदाहृतम्.
तत्तामसमुदाहृतम्.
Yat tu, that knowledge which, what is it? A person becomes saktam. A person becomes extremely attached. Ekasmin karye, in one object or one thing, one part of this world, whatever that one thing. Kritsnavat ekasmin, as though that little thing is my whole life. That one thing is everything. And why is the person attached to that? Ahaitukam, no logical reason. They have attachment to one thing or one aspect at the exclusion of all others. For no reason, irrationally. Atatvartatvat, there is no truth in it also from any standpoint. It's not a valid reason to see difference and see that as the only thing and be attached to it. Tat tamasam udahritam. That is called tamasic vision. Meaning, simply put, when a person gets extremely and irrationally attached to one little thing as though it is the whole world and it is their whole life, that is tamasic vision. Now, you might think, well, that's crazy. Who's going to see one thing as everything? That's not me. But you just think now about the examples our Mahatmas, our Swamis, our Rishis give to point our mind, to bring to our mind's attention how we have this vision in endless aspects of our life. Have you heard the statement, money is life, money is God, money is everything? One of those three versions everyone would have heard, or everyone would have also said at some point in time. Everyone would have, if you didn't verbally say it, a lot of us live our life according to that philosophy at some point in our life. The consequences, well, if money is everything, then I'm ready to sacrifice health for it. People do that or not? Ready to sacrifice family for it? You ask kids whose parents have this attitude, and they will say they'd rather have less stuff and more time with their parents. Is it not? No? The vision is so narrow that that person can't see beyond I'm going to give my kids a good life with this money. Right? That vision is so narrow that all they can see is that money is the solution to everything. But money is not everything. During COVID, I know of so many people who had so much money, but they couldn't get a ventilator. They couldn't pay for a ventilator because, that was just the situation of the time. So to to bring some perspective to this, we have to ask, really, can money buy what we want? What do we want? We want peace. We want happiness. We want loyalty. We want health. We want trust. At night, we want to be able to sleep. When it's time to eat, we want to be able to eat and our food to digest without giving us problems, right? Money can buy any of those things. Money can buy melatonin or sleeping pills, but it can't buy sleep. Money can buy food, but it can't buy, and it can buy, what's the thing to take for digestion? Whatever, acid reflux medicine, right? But it can't buy healthy digestion. Money can buy stuff, but it can't buy happiness. That is why there is no correlation between money and happiness. But people think money is everything. Then, take another example. Some people think the body is everything. Or some of us think that, at least at some points in our life or our day, right? What is that? Well, I feel that how I look is most important. We have that sentiment, right? And then when gray hairs start to come, we start to look in the mirror, Oh my God. Oh my God. Quick, let me go and hide it. It's a big stress in people's minds, because how I feel like how I look is most important. How much time and effort and money and resources are spent in this world behind the body. Because people really feel, at least in some aspect, that the body is everything. And the way I look is everything. And the way that people see me physically is everything. We have that or not? We have that. A lot of time we have that. That is tamasic vision. Oh God. Now you think about even something like grades, right? So you take it a little further from yourself now. You know, we have had, this is really strong in Guyana. I mean, if you're in Guyana, you know what I'm talking about here. The year that a child has a final exam, their final exam is in June, right? The year before that, their parents will start saying, no, they can't go out. They have to study. There's a final exam, like O-levels in grade 10, but there's also an exam for kids in grade 5, grade 6, around there. So kids come to us and tell us they want to come to the ashram, they want to come for this program, they want to come for this. Can you tell my parent to let me come? And then we ask the parent, and the parent's like, no, they have this exam next year, they can't come. I'm not exaggerating. It's a serious thing. They have an exam in 12 months, so they can't come for summer camp this year. It's very scary, because they feel like grades are everything. Now, education is important. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying that you don't have to do well. I'm not saying any of that. But the problem comes when we think that that is everything. You see how it's a problem when we think it is everything? Okay. In sports also, you know, in every single aspect, you can think about this tamasic vision. And we're thinking about it a little more, because when we talk about tamasic vision, we don't like to admit we have the lowest kind of vision. So we have to pause and really see how we have it in different parts of our life to remove it, right? So now take sports. How many of you are into, like, watching a game and wanting a team to win? Whatever it is, whether it's football, soccer, football, or basketball, or anything, cricket. Maybe not now, but at some point in your life, you would have had a favorite team, a favorite sport, a favorite something. Some of us, you know, we don't like the sport all the time, but during World Cup, well, we're behind it, and we're behind our country, or whatever, right? So, one year, during the World Cup, Ghana was playing, and they made it to the quarterfinals. And I was in Toronto at that time, and I happened to have a few friends from Ghana who were also in Toronto at the time. And so we got together and we watched the quarterfinals with Ghana playing with this country. And we were on our knees, like wherever, I can't remember, we had gone somewhere to watch it together. All of us are on our knees praying, let this goal happen. Like some serious prayers were going on everywhere, in all parts. Ghana lost that match, right? And we were so depressed that Ghana lost the match that we went back to my apartment and we were all just like I don't know, like stuck in some kind of gloom. My roommates came home and they were like, what's going on here? They felt this depression so strongly. They were like, you know what? We're going out. And they left. They actually left because of how bad it was. So, what does that match have to do with my life? But somehow we feel like that is, like life is over if my team loses. Big people cry when their team loses. Because at that time, our vision is tamasic and we feel like that is everything, right? We have this all the time. Okay, another one that we're very culpable to is attachment to our sense of taste. You know how attached we are to our taste? It is at the cost of our health also. At the cost of the life of, well, for some people, innocent animals also. It's at the cost of making our mind tamasic. You know? Don't tell me what I can and can't eat. Don't tell me when I can and can't eat. Right? At the cost of our mind's sattva, at this time, that's all I can think about. Don't stop me. Who are you? How dare you tell me what to eat? Are you body shaming me? we reach all kinds of things to get what we want, because at that time, the only thing that matters is that my tongue should be happy. Tamasic vision. Dhritarashtra was attached to Duryodhana. He was so attached to his son that it cost. We'll see what the cost was in Mahabharata of that one attachment where Duryodhana was his whole life. Right? So we have to watch out for it. Guruji says that narrow vision is divisive and spiritual vision is inclusive. So now we have to sit and analyze. Is my vision divisive or is it inclusive? Inclusive doesn't mean including my family and people I like. Inclusive means inclusive. Inclusive of everyone, inclusive of everything. In different parts of our life, we will have different vision. But we should try to strive, at least in some parts of our life, to have sattvic vision, right? And eventually we have to stop seeing our life in compartments. That will come, right? That is also divisive, to see our life in compartments. But when we hear this, we think, what would that life look like? What would my life be like if I had sattvic jnana? Well, Bhagavan doesn't leave us wondering, because with sattvic jnana, I do sattvic karma as a sattvic karta. With rajasic jnana, I do rajasic karma as a rajasic karta. And with tamasic jnana, I do tamasic karma as a tamasic karta. So now Bhagavan is going to tell us what sattvic, rajasic, tamasic karma is for us to think about it. Please remember here, when Bhagavan talks about sattvic jnana, karma, karta, he is presenting the ideal. He is not expecting us to suddenly have perfect vision, perfect sattvic vision, be a perfect sattvic karta. But if we don't know the ideal, how will we ever strive for it? If a child doesn't know that they have to study for 20 years and do all of these things to become a doctor, how will they ever become the doctor? They have to know before they can do it. So it doesn't matter where we are. The knowing of the ideal is important for us to try to get there. So we shouldn't feel bad that I'm not there, but we should acknowledge where we are and try to work in that direction. Okay, now Bhagavan is going to tell about sattvic, rajasic, tamasic karma. But I was visualizing if this sattvic, rajasic, tamasic, jnanam, karma, karta, etc. were people. Imagine we're all little kids. Well, rajasic and tamasic vision would be our friends. And our parents would be saying, no, they're not good company. Make friends with sattvic jnana. And we will think, no, our parents hate us. They don't understand us. Right? Really, rajasic and tamasic jnana are our friends right now. We think they are our friends right now, right? So we have to make sure that we are not in the mode of, we have less and less tamasic jnana. We should try to move to rajas. You can't go from tamasic to sattvic, by the way. So we have to try to move from tamasic to rajasic and from rajasic to sattvic. That's our journey. And why is it important? Because sattvic vision can liberate us from samsara, and rajasic and tamasic vision cannot. And remember, Bhagavad Gita is moksha shastra, right? It's not meant to become a better business person. It's not meant to become a better manager. I mean, it has all of those side benefits, but the primary purpose is it's moksha shastra. It's for moksha. It's meant for moksha. So, of course, it has to talk about the vision that's going to give you moksha. Rajasic, Tamasic, when they team up, they destroy our peace, they destroy other people's peace, and you'll see how based on the kind of actions that ensue from these respective visions. So now Bhagavan, in order of Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic, is going to tell the actions that ensue as a result of our vision. I think you can also guess what kinds of action are going to ensue now based on the vision. Right? So let's chant, and then we'll see how Bhagavan beautifully explains it. This is verse number 23. Niyatam sangarahitam
Niyatam sangarahitam
aragadveshatah kritam
aragadveshatah kritam
aphala karma
aphala karma
yat tat sattvikam
yattat sattvikam
Yat karma that he's going to describe, tat sattvikam that is called as sattvic karma, which, first of all, kartum niyatam karma, to do one's duty, to do one's kartavya, that which ought to be done. Whatever duties I have, I do. Non-negotiable. We talked about duties extensively in the earlier verses of this chapter. And duties are the kind of thing, I mean, everyone knows about duties at work. I have a portfolio and I stick to my portfolio. I might be very good at copying my boss's signature, but it is not my duty to sign his checks and save him time. It's not my portfolio to do that. We are very clear of our portfolio and our duties when it comes to work. In life also, we have a portfolio by virtue of where we are born, with what talents we are born, what time we are born, what circumstances we are born. We have dharma of ashrama and varna, right? So we have duties, but do we know what those duties are? A lot of us don't. And as a result of not knowing our kartavya karma, our duty, based on our varna, based on our ashrama, well, we get all kinds of problems. One problem, big problem society is facing, is that people who are inclined to be business people, they're inclined to be resource generators, inclined to make money, they go and become doctors. They go and become pandits. And they use those professions. Why? With the sole purpose or the primary purpose of making money. So you take something which is not meant to be associated with money, and you associate it with money because you are of the nature of thinking about money. What happens when a doctor who's actually a businessman inside comes to treat somebody? They only look at dollar bills when you walk in, right? They only, well, this person, or like a pundit who became a pundit because he thinks of the amount of money he's going to make from it, right? Well, if two people invite him for puja at the same time, how is he going to decide which one to go to? Well, who's richer? I'm going to go to them, right? So the problem with not knowing clearly what my duty is that all this kind of mixture happens and society suffers, and I also suffer. My happiness also suffers as a result, right? You know, you ask kids what they want to be when they grow up, and they'll be like, I want to be a famous singer. You've already decided. So what is it that you're looking for in the singing? You're looking for the name and the fame. You're not looking at what you're meant to do, what you're cut out for. And in today's day and age, I watched a reel a while ago where they had gone and interviewed teenagers and college kids about what they wanted to be when they grow up, when they start their professions. And the top 3 careers are now influencer of YouTube in YouTube, influencer on TikTok, influencer on Instagram. Top 3. Influencer of what? Like, what are you influencing people with? Which, I mean, that doesn't matter. I just want to be an influencer. So, all kinds of things when we don't know clearly what is our duty. Bhagavan is saying, sattvic karma is doing your duty. How now, he explains in the rest of the verse, sangarahitam, without any attachment. Meaning, there's no selfish expectation about how the karma should be, how the result should be. You'll hear moms, well, I've heard some moms tell me, I put so much effort into making healthy food for my kids, and I wake up early, and I make this healthy breakfast for them to eat before they go to school, and then they come and they just have no appreciation. I'm so tired of this. You're making the healthy food to get appreciation, or because it's your responsibility to give them healthy food? When we do our duty with attachment, thinking about the result, thinking about all of that, well, we only suffer. Because duty is supposed to be thankless. That is the characteristic of duty, right? Then araga dveshata kritam. Duty that is done without any likes or dislikes. When likes and dislikes enter, usually what happens is we don't do it. Or we do it with complaints, severe complaints in our mind. I don't like to sit for japa. I don't like it. But it's my duty to do japa. Then my mind will find reasons why it can't do japa. But you're not really good at it anyway, so you might as well use the time to become better before you sit for japa. Big excuse the mind gives when it's time for japa, right? Or, I don't like this duty of washing dishes, so I will convince my kids that it's their duty. Not because I want to teach them that chores are important and being a part of the home is important, but I don't like it, therefore they should do it. The bhava is different behind it, right? Or at work, I like to be the one to hire, not to fire. So I'll hire somebody to go and fire the person I don't want to fire. Right? Likes and dislikes. Huh? Or at Bal Vihar, when a family comes to Bal Vihar, the whole family is supposed to get involved. And so parents have some mandatory seva that they're supposed to do for their benefit. Now some parents will come and say, don't ask me to do anything. Don't ask me to go and be part of anything like this. I will give you the money. How much do you need? I'll give you that money, but don't ask me to come and do seva. But it's your duty to be part of this by being part of Bal Vihar. But I don't like to do seva, so I'll get around it by giving you money. Right? People do that or not. We have to be very clear about our duties and be ready to do them without any likes or dislikes. Then aphala prepsuna, with no desire for material gain. When you do an action, it is guaranteed that you're going to get the result. It is impossible to not get the result. In fact, I know you'll know the story of Dhruva. Dhruva had left home to go to Bhagavan to ask him to make him important. I mean, in simple words, right? Then when Bhagavan came, he didn't want that anymore. But he had done the tapas, he had to get it. Whether he liked it or not, he had to get it, right? And so the phala will be there, but there will be no craving for it. Right now, our mind is always looking for results. That's the way the mind is. But a good transition is, instead of looking for material results, meaning instead of things, or even name and fame, instead of looking for things from it, looking for name and fame, I think about how I want to get purity of mind from doing my duty. So I shift the focus from a material gain to a spiritual gain. That's one way to transition in this path. This is sattvic karma. So now, how do you determine if something is sattvic karma? Imagine if I go and plant a garden on a 1-acre property, right? So I plant so many different vegetables and so many different fruits, and I do it with no attachment. I'm not looking for appreciation, and it's okay if someone else comes and wants to take this. I'm not going to be attached to it. They can do it, no problem. I'm doing it without any likes and dislikes, meaning I don't say I don't like to turn the soil. I only like to see when the plants are planted in a perfect row. Like, doing it without any likes and dislikes, right? I'm also doing it without desire for any gain. Like, I don't want name, I don't want fame. It doesn't matter what color the flowers are. It doesn't matter how many tomatoes come. Like, it doesn't matter. None of that. I'm just doing this sincerely. Is that sattvic karma? Actually, that is not enough information to say whether it is sattvic karma or not. Because the first question before any of those questions is it my duty in the first place? If it is not my duty, say on that 1-acre property, right? I am supposed to go there to go and teach the children that are inside the house. And I go and I start gardening there instead. Well, I am not doing my duty. So the first thing that determines if something is sattvic karma is it my duty in the first place? That is the primary measure. Then you ask, how can that duty be done? Actually, you cannot truly have the other factors if the first factor of it is my duty is not there. Because if I'm doing something that's not my duty, it means there would have been some like for it. Why will I go and do it? Or to prove something to somebody. Some other factor will be there that prompts me to do it. But once I have determined that it is my karma, then I have to do it in such a way. Well, all the things Bhagavan said. Right? One big thing that comes with duty is we really become very attached to our duty. And we have to ask ourselves, am I doing my duty such that when it is time, or if I have to give it up, I'm ready to give it up? Like when kids are grown, I'm ready to let them go? Or if a younger, more qualified professional comes to work, more ready to put in the hours, I'm ready to give up my seat for them? Am I doing it with devotion? Am I doing it with or without raga dvesha? What do I want from it? The answer should be, I'm ready to give it up when it is time to give it up. And I'm doing it for chitta shuddhi. Chittasya shuddhaye karma. I'm doing it for purity of mind. Gurudev says that if we do karma like this, our vasanas get exhausted. And we don't create new vasanas. So the impurities of our mind go away. And that is what is called sattvic karma. Now you might think it feels so unrealistic for someone to do karma like this. But there are people who act like this. Few, but there are. I heard this story. I can't remember if I read this or I heard this, but I couldn't find the source. So I'm paraphrasing and telling you based on what I remember, right? Someone asked Gurudev about what would happen to Chinmaya Mission after he was gone. And Gurudev's sentiment was, and I'm not telling his exact words because I don't remember them, I'm telling his sentiment was, well, I have served. And what happens to Chinmaya Mission after I'm gone depends on if it has a need to fulfill, right? It served the need while I was here. Whether it has a need anymore, well, that's not depending on me, right? Meaning, he never thought about making the organization a legacy, something to leave for posterity, like that. His point was, focus on the importance of the knowledge. He didn't think about my organization becoming this super great thing. And it's ironic that those who try to build a legacy right? Build this organization that is going to sustain time. I mean, that's going to be sustained through time. And it ends up being built around the individual. And that ends up dissipating. The fact that he didn't want it and focused on the vision of our knowledge, that itself was the thing that ended up sustaining it. Right? So there are people who focus on their duty, totally not thinking about what they're going to get as a result. Again, this is sattvic karma. This is the highest approach to karma that we can have, and it's not going to come overnight, but it's something we should start thinking about. Okay, now let us see rajasic karma. Yattu kamepsuna karma
Yattu kamepsuna karma
sahankarena va punaha
sahankarena va punaha
kriyate bahulayasam
kriyate bahulayasam
tad rajasamudahritam.
tad rajasamudahritam.
Tat rajasam udahritam. That is called rajasic karma, which yattu, that which is, kamyepsuna, which is done with desire. First thing I think about is, what will I get? And for a rajasic person, that what will I get is always in terms of something material. Money, pleasure, name, fame, recognition means not spiritual. And the problem with desire, and the problem with doing karma, doing rajasic karma, is that desire is insatiable. Not all of our desires can be fulfilled, and the more desires we fulfill, the more desires we develop. And when the desires that are not fulfilled, that can't be fulfilled, are not fulfilled, that desire metamorphosizes into anger and jealousy and all kinds of negative emotions. And when it gets fulfilled, it becomes greed. And so, even things like depression and anxiety are caused because of desire. There's a desire that is not getting fulfilled for reasons outside of my control, or in a timeline that is not in my desire. And all of those things lead to these issues. Desire is at the root of so much. Then a rajasic karma is done sa ahankarena, with ahankara, with a feeling of I did it. It comes with a feeling of indispensability. That they can't do it without me. I am so important. If I did it, it means that someone else didn't do it. It means I am needed. All those things come along with it, right? Or if someone has the opposite bhava, that I'm not good enough and I'm not doing enough, then it comes with stress. But there's still ahankara of the I. As soon as there's an I, you're in the realm of ahankara. It's all connected to a strong ego, thinking about me, thinking about my role in this thing. And then the result of that will be that some people don't want anyone else to have the opportunity to do it because they're so attached to it. We see this a lot around, in our world, I see this around Guruji, right? Or even around Swamiji, where some people have some responsibilities or some seva around Guruji. And then Guruji comes to a certain city and people self-appoint themselves as his bodyguards. So they're always around and they're the ones who are the only ones allowed to do his laundry, to wash his dishes, to bring his food, to decide who can come and be with him. You know what I'm talking about? If you've been in this world, you know what I'm talking about, right? Self-appointed bodyguards. During Mahasamadhi camp here in Trinidad, we had met Guruji for the first time at that time. This was 2014. And Swamiji would make chai for Guruji. Well, he made chai for Guruji one day, right? And he took it. And then whoever was taking care of Guruji took the chai and said, Guruji doesn't drink chai. Don't bother making it again. When Swamiji went back to Guruji that evening, Guruji was like, where's my chai? Swamiji said, but they said you don't want any chai, you don't drink chai. He was like, who said that? Self-appointed bodyguards. You're not allowed to do seva, only I'm allowed to do seva. Like that. The other thing that comes is we take credit for something we didn't even do. When we have strong ahankara, an example that is very interesting to my mind is when you meet anybody in Guyana, when you come to Guyana, one of the first things that they show you is the seawall. We have a seawall because Guyana is a little below sea level, right? Okay. Who built the seawall? You come to Guyana and you'll be told the Dutch built the seawall. Right? The Dutch built the seawall. So while it was a Dutch colony, they built the seawall. Now let me ask you, can you guarantee, give me a guarantee, that a single Dutch person lifted a single finger to put a single piece of something on that seawall? Can anybody here guarantee me that? One Dutch person, one thing that they physically did to build that wall. But we say the Dutch built the seawall. Who built it? And which they brought the stuff to build it from Netherlands? So they used Guyanese resources. They're not the ones who did it. What did they do that said they built it? The idea to build it means I can say I built it. I have the idea that we should have Indian food for dinner today. Then Indian food comes on the table. Then I show up and I'm like, I made the food. That's what it's tantamount to. So, sa ahankarena, when we have ahankara, we also start to take credit for things we didn't do. So watch out and see where you do it in your life. We all do it. We all do it in our life, right? So watch out and see where it is. And then, kriyate bahula ayasam. It is done, all these karmas that are done, rajasic karma, is done with a lot of pomp and show. You know what that means? That means everybody should know this karma was done. If it's not done with pomp and show, how will people know? How will it make the news? How will it become a big thing? The classic example is the hen versus the turtle. You know, when a turtle lays eggs, it lays hundreds of eggs at the same time, quietly in the middle of the night. And it goes. Nobody knows it came, nobody knows it went. If you want to go see the turtles, you have to be super quiet also, otherwise they won't come, right? Hundreds of eggs. And then the hen across the street lays one egg. And how much noise they make. That's the sentiment that an empty barrel makes the most noise. Right? That exact sentiment. But some people really feel that if you don't speak about your greatness, then people won't know. I read an anecdote. Somebody had gone to meet Gurudev in Washington. Probably for the first time they would have been in that kind of environment. And they asked Guruji, what has this Swami done that makes him different? Like, why is everybody prostrating to him? Who is he? What has he done? And Guruji said that he told her that, I'm going to just read it. He said, I told her that he was the Swamiji who had fully unfolded his personality just as a bud unfolds to blossom into a flower. That's what he did. And by the act of opening up, the flower spreads its fragrance in all directions and the bees gather around it. And then, so this is what he said. Then he explained how everything in nature adds beauty to life just by being there. So in the same way, realized masters, their presence alone is what inspires those around them. Just around them, people are inspired to dedicate their lives and be devoted and become better and all of that, right? Being ourselves, our true selves, is the greatest achievement in the world. And no one needs to say anything. I mean, you can say, if you go around and say, hey, I am realized, well, that itself shows that you're not. So the greatest achievement in the world is that which is unspeakable. It is only felt, right? So, well, we have to try to ask ourselves, am I doing actions wanting attention, wanting people to know? It doesn't have to be like physical pomp and show. It could even just be me telling somebody, hey, I did this. Do you know I finished this? I did this? Like that. I did 108 japa malas this month. Did you know that? It's a secret. Where's the secret? Why are you telling me? Oh, man. You know, those who care about this pomp and show and attention the most, they're the ones who get it the least. And the ones who care about it the least, they're the ones who end up getting it, right? So how is this? You know, you just think about how rajasic the karma of our society is lately. Take a mental scan of all the content out there on social media. TikTok and Facebook and all. How much of that content fits in this category? Actually, the correct question might be how much doesn't. it's that how much doesn't, right? That hollowness of the content may be there, but I want to be popular anyway. I want to be an influencer of nothing, of anything, of whatever. I'll just speak gibberish and people will like me, right? Like that. The other meaning for this phrase is putting in unnecessary effort. It's exhausting to put in an unnecessary effort. You know, I don't know if, well, I received the sticker of somebody shoveling snow like a crazy person. Right? You can do the same action in a pace that conserves energy, or you can totally do something with so much vigor that it finishes all your energy in like a couple of minutes, right? Or, okay, fine, that might not be so relatable, but here's another more relatable example. Have you seen people who spend like 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8 hours sometimes cooking something? Why? To impress somebody. You could have cooked something that will take 20 minutes and had your whole day. But no, I want to impress people with this thing, right? So unnecessary effort is put in. And that unnecessary effort also leads to the feeling of, I can't stop doing what I'm doing, right? That's why you have working lunches. What's a working lunch? It's I'm too important to stop doing what I'm doing, so I'm going to eat and do it. No time for satsang, no time for seva, no time for Bhagavan. Just do my work like that. The last thing for this rajasic karma is they can't sit without doing something. Have you seen people like that? There's nothing to do, but they feel so, I mean, in Sindhi the word is monj. They feel so restless. Restless is the correct word, right? They feel so restless that they can't, they have to get up and they have to do something. So the floor has been swept and mopped, but they have to get up and take a broom and sweep again because there's one little dust particle, and so it's an excuse to get up and do something. But in the spiritual path, we need to develop a sattvic mind. We need peace and balance and all of that. A rajasic person can't even conceptualize that. So this is rajasic karma. How much of it sounds familiar? So rajasic karma is our friend. I mean, our perceived friend, right? But now our bestest friend is about to come. That is called tamasic karma. Our super BFF for life. What is that? Now, if we start it, we won't finish it. So we'll pause here and we'll see it next week. I wanted to do all so we could think about them together, but it has to wait. So next week we will see what is tamasic karma, and then we'll compare them a little bit. So for now, will you think about, you know what is sattvic, rajasic, tamasic vision, and in certain aspects of our life, we will have tamasic vision. In certain aspects of our life, we will have rajasic vision. And in certain aspects of our life, we may have a little bit of sattvic vision too. So the goal is to try to remove tamasic, to reduce rajasic, and to increase sattvic vision. Tamasic should be removed altogether. Rajasic will take time, but we should try to reduce it. And, well, true sattvic vision is only there for a realized person. So don't feel bad that you don't have real sattvic vision. I mean, when you have the sattvic vision, there will be no you to say, I have sattvic vision also. So you just keep trying. And then think about sattvic and rajasic karma. The karma that I'm doing right now, you sit and you analyze a little bit. Is it my duty? And I guess it's like a flow chart, Is it my duty, yes or no? If no, cease and desist. If yes, am I doing it with this attitude? Am I doing it with this attitude? Am I doing it with this attitude? Like that. It's called a flow chart, right? Yeah, I think. Okay, good. I didn't use the wrong word. Or like, I don't know. You know those books? When I was growing up, I had a Goosebumps book that was a determine your destiny kind of book. So you read the first page and then you choose. If this is the option you choose, go to this page. And if this is the option you choose, and then go to this page. So that's what we have to do, right? Go to this page. Go to the page to check if your karma is really yours. Okay, I'll do closing prayer, and then I'll open up if anyone has any questions or anyone wants to share anything. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Shri Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai.